Alright, Bananas and Blow. This is a big one, of course, and I'm just going to jump right to it and get into the basic chords because there's a fair number of parts. Because I tried to sort of adapt the steel drum part, and you saw me kind of try to adapt the different parts in the intro demo that I just did with the acoustic guitar. So I'll go over the basic chords first, no matter how simple or complex you want to play it. These are the chords. They're very quite simple. So right at the beginning of the song, you just strum it like that. It's an E minor. So all the chords are basically the verse is E minor, D, and then it repeats that. What a message from the fat man. Sorry, boy, to leave you high and dry. But I went to see my mom in Ensenada. And then D7. Help the time go by. E minor. D7. Just a little something to keep you G. And then C. Bananas and blow. D. And E minor. C. D. E minor. C. Then G. Sorry, it doesn't. It goes to the G at the end of that chorus. It doesn't go to the E minor. Sorry about that. So it's just C, D, E minor, and then C, D, G, both times there. So yeah, sorry about that. And that's basically the chords for the whole song. The solo, it just goes over the verse progression, and the different guitar parts are just honestly just kind of simplified versions of these chords. And in terms of how the song ends, it basically just in that last chorus. So just hit that G a couple times. Those three hits. I like to do the three downstrokes, downstrums, whatever. And then, okay, so there's those are the chords. You can just strum along with those, and you want to have that kind of bouncy rhythm going. So on the album, there's Jeaner's part, and he's basically doing that. He's just kind of strumming the chords. He's mostly kind of doing the very light strumming, very like upper strings. At least I'm assuming this is Jeaner, but it's the part. And it's just the, And one part you'll notice is on the chorus, or on the pre-chorus part was to keep you high. You see him live, he actually just kind of hits those two open strings and maybe the note on the high E string in the 3rd fret. He kind of just, like, he doesn't fret these lower strings at all, he just hits that with the open G and maybe D string. But of course you can do it with a G and then add that on the 1st fret. Anyway. And that's, basically it. Just kind of strum those chords. And Diener's, for the other rhythm part, the Diener's kind of doing, it's basically doing the same thing, just playing it a little bit higher. It's mostly like power chordy, and then with like some bar chords up here, so like that, A minor shape, just bar chorded up there for the E of the 7th fret, and then for the D, just simple. Then D. I don't really hear him doing D7, but he could be. I just hear like a regular D there, regular D major. And then, of course, for C. And then G, bar chord up here. Although I thought maybe I saw him doing a G7, although I don't think he is, because that doesn't really sound right, But, might be. But I think he's just doing a regular G. And, of course, you can do that open if you really want. And his rhythm's a lot more, kind of stabby, accent it like that. It's not as quite as constant strumming. And what you saw me doing in the intro was basically including the I don't quite know what instrument it is. It might just be steel drum. I'm honestly not super familiar. I know the main steel drum part of the song, but like the melody that plays during the verses, those like I don't remember the name of what instrument it is. Maybe it is just steel drum. If you know what it's supposed to be, then tell me. I would love to hear it. Although I'm sure it's all synthesized, but you know what I mean. So basically, there's just this melody playing through the verses on these like whatever instrument that is. It's just. Alright, super simple melody, right? And I just kind of, while I'm strumming the E minor, I kind of build that into the upper notes. So that's like open E, 3rd fret E, high E, I should say. And then you kind of alternate between that, and then 3rd fret B and 2nd fret high E. So I do that by just kind of muting the high E string when I play the D, and then unmuting it. So like, and then maybe adding in the open E string in between, like that. And then for the D7, I don't really try to emulate it because I'd rather just have the chord play there. But technically, the melody there would be like, it's like going up to a higher note there on the G, but it's like G and then a higher note. But if you're playing in this open position, it just makes more sense to just kind of go like that, and add in that 1st fret on the B, like suspension there. And then once it gets to the pre-chorus, right, so the 1st fret open on B, 2nd fret open on G, that's the melody. And you can kind of, you know, you can do that while you're strumming your G chord. It sounds quite nice. It's a very guitar-friendly tune in that way. And then, so that's sort of the main rhythm guitar part. There's other lead parts throughout the song, which are actually quite cool. I'm going to tease those along with, of course, the main riff of the song that everyone kind of knows. Alright, so I'll teach the steel drum part, right? So there's the main lick. So that's 3, 5, 7 on high E. Alright, so pretty self-explanatory. And if you want to play this on like less strings, then it would just be. Right, open, and then 3rd on the B, and then right, and then the same thing, and then all right, so that's just. Alright, I think for that melody it's sort of straightforward, so I won't have to point out every note. I think you get it, but again, that's the main part, right? It's a great little melody. It's super catchy, of course. It's also super fun to play because it's fun to slide up and down like that. And if you want to kind of mimic the steel drum sound, then it's, you know, it's kind of mute like that, right? Because you could just go. Like, you could do that, but it doesn't quite sound right, you know? So that kind of more staccato feel. It's a lot of fun. And then there's a harmony for that is played on the guitar. So it's played way up here. So it's way up 12th fret. You can see it, 12th. 14, 15 on a high E. Or you go back down like that, and then 15 back to 12 on the E to 15 on the B. and then 14 on the G. And then it kind of repeats. And then it stops there, right? And then he... it's a really fun little detail there. So you just hold that, and then you hit it again, and you slide it down real quick. And then repeat. Oh, sorry. And then... Alright, so that's just going up on the G, 11, 12, 14. And then 12, 13 on B. Slide up to 15. Slide back down. Wind up on the 12th fret. It's a fun little part. And then in the last chorus, there is a lick. It might be in one of the early choruses with the steel drum, but there's a harmony to the too, and it's a really nice melody. So that's on the high E, 10, 8, 7, then go on the G on the B string there. Then E. Outline this triad. You go 7, 8, 9 from the E string down to the G string. And that's the note you wind up on. And then do it again. Right. And then you go again. And then wind up on that note. And you can play both of those if you want. But there's a harmony, and it goes... Alright, so that's 14 E, then to 12, and then you go on the B string. Alright, so then go up there, come back to the 12th, and then hit 12 on the G, and then repeat. Yeah. Which harmonizes with that. It's really nice. And then you just do that again. Because that's like at the very end of the song. It's a very nice little part. Now there's the lead going into the chorus. That's sort of another sort of main lick of the song. And there's a couple variations of it. Here's the sort of main one. It's a lot like the part in Tried and True. This might sound familiar. So that's just that's thirds. That's 5th fret of the G and B. This is all in the G and B. And then you go like this: 3rd on B, 4th on G, then 2nd and 1st on G and B, then open. Right. So you know. We've all heard that. So that's, you know, if you hear him going to the chorus like that, take me away from here. And you hear it like at the end of the chorus too. That's the sort of main variation of that. And then there's another variation on that, which is in 6ths. So this is, it's the same lick, right? Same application, but it's on the E and G string. So that's, what is that? That's 8 on high E, and then 9 on G, and then 7 on both, and then go back down, and 5 on both, then 4 and 3 on the G and E respectively. So that's, and I'm hybrid picking that, so, but if you could also, if you want it to be brighter, you can also go and mute the B string. Anywho, so that's that. And then there are some parts in between. In the second verse, there's some fills. I'll teach those. So the first one, and the timing is, you know, "And the rainy season reminds me of Louia." timing's generally like that. It's kind of a call and response thing. It's fun. You can play it two ways. I prefer to play it up here, but you can totally play it here. And he might be playing it like this. So it's 12 on G and B, so up here on the G and B, and then go down like that, and then you slide that down 2 frets, and then hit the 7 on G and B, and then go back there, right? So, and then if you want to hit it on the high E and B, you do it like that, and then slide that down. Right? You don't have to play it with those fingers like that. You can do it more normally. Right? So that's the first one. And then the second one's cool. It's, again, 6th, way up here. Starts on 14, G and high E. So it's 14 on both, then 12 on both, and then 11 and 10. And then you go up to 14 and back down to 12. So it's cool. And then there's this lick, which I always thought was really cool. So that's he could just be going, but I think there might be like a very quiet palm muted, like on that note there when he begins. This is on the B string. So pick and then pull off on 12 to 10, and then 11 G, and then 10 high E, end up on that note, and then there's this lick. All right, so that's 15, 14, 12 on high E, and then you run a bit quicker down, just a tiny bit quicker on 15, 13, 12 on B, and then 14, 12 on G, then 14 on D, and then 12 G, and then 11 G. And then the last thing he does is just which I covered. All right. So then there's the solo, and this is a really cool solo. And trust me, if you're newer to a guitar, and especially a lot of and especially playing like an acoustic solo like this, it can't be easy, especially for a newcomer or even like a seasoned guy. Even if the solo is easy, it's tough to like play this kind of stuff cleanly. But don't be intimidated by a lot of stuff, especially that first lick. Do not be fooled. I can't even remember if I just did in the demo or not, but if I did, then don't make the mistake I potentially just made and trem pick this, because, right? So, I mean, you have to be a tight trem picker to begin with, but also that's not really what he's doing. Live, he might do that sometimes, but it's a lot more like he'll pick it and then pick it twice. Like, instead of just constantly picking, he's more... So, and by the way, this is up on the high E, right? So he lets the hammer-on happen, and then he picks a few times. And he also leaves that gap in there in that last note hit. He doesn't just go straight like that. It's more like... Right? And then open E, slide from... 3 to 7. Sorry, I keep messing that up. And then on the A string there, and then slide up. All right, so, and then all right, slides up there, and this is on the. So we're basically going through the same 2 frets on 7 and 9 on the A, then D, then G. You only slide up on that first, on the A string. You pick the rest of these. All right, so you go up there. Then on the B, and 1 up, then 2 up. Then go back down and Alright, so that's just a 3-note sequence. Just going up on this, 7, 8 on the B, and then hitting 10 with your pinky, or if you want to, you can... I personally wouldn't recommend that, but if you think it's more comfortable, then sure. It's just 10 on the high E. It's a really cool lick. And then he's going to climb up there. He's going to slow down the picking a bit, play a tiny bit of vibrato in there. And then he's going to come back down. Alright, so hit 7, 5, and then open. And he's going to do this. He's going to do that like 3 times. And what that is just... So that's pluck first. This is on the B string. Then hammer on, pull off again from 1 to open, then hit 2 of G. And he's going to do that 3 times. 0, 1, 3. Slide up to 5. Open to 2 on the G. Then he's going to do... he's basically just going to arpeggiate a D chord in that same shape and everything. And, you know, in the heat of moment, it might be a little tricky to get your fingers positioned in your typical D chord shape like that. So sometimes I end up, you know, in this weird position. If you can, you know, work on getting to your D chord shape anyway, because that's kind of what is what you should end up doing anyway. And again, just hit that suspension on the high E string. And then I think he hits like the D, open D there, and then he just strums the D. Just that classic rock suspension. He's gonna hit that little melody line there on the open, and then he's gonna strum the E minor. And I'm not totally 100% sure what he's doing, but he's definitely just kind of strumming that E minor, kind of dig into it with your pick a bit, and emphasize like the low string there. I'm convinced he hits the G on the bass at least once. At least that's my theory. That could be wrong, but whatever. And just make sure you end it like that. You know, hit those high notes up there. And then he's gonna 3, 5, 7. Pick the first 2, slide up to the 3rd. Alright, so then... Alright. Slide up there. Alright, so... Alright, so that's... Alright, so that's... Work your way up to that note. And the timing on that slows down a bit towards the end. So that's just work your way up to that B string note. And you can go, or that. And then just go back here. I prefer to kind of do these 3 fingers like that E. It's an arpeggiation of the G there, which is really cool. But it's have your fingers in that like open E position. Right, so and then hit the low G, the low E string on the 3rd fret. And I don't think he adds any vibrato or anything, he just kind of hits it like that. So So once you get like halfway through that phrase, remember to like get the timing right on the picking. You don't want to go fast because then the timing will be a little screwy. But you'll feel it if you play along with the song. I'm pretty sure that's it. So I hope you have a lot of fun learning and playing this song. And, you know, see you later. Have a good day.